The early August sun filters through the blinds of our modest suburban home, casting lines of light across the living room floor. I'm sprawled on the couch, still groggy from a late night, when the mail slot clatters. My wife, Claire, is out running errands, and the kids are scattered across their respective summer activities. It's supposed to be a lazy afternoon, one of those rare moments where everything seems perfectly normal. The letter is the first piece of mail that catches my attention. It's a simple envelope, no return address, no indication of who might have sent it. I slip it open with a mixture of curiosity and disinterest, expecting perhaps a marketing flyer or a bill. What I pull out makes my blood run cold. The photo inside is explicit, a grainy image of Claire, naked and entangled in the sheets with a younger man. My heart races as my eyes dart over the image, my mind struggling to process what I'm seeing. The young man is unmistakable. It's Ben, my son from my first marriage. I feel a surge of anger and betrayal so intense it feels like a physical blow. I drop the photo as if it's burning my hands and stagger to the kitchen. I need air, I need to think, but my thoughts are a chaotic swirl. How could Claire do this? How could Ben, my own flesh and blood, be involved in something so grotesque? The phone rings, snapping me from my daze. It's Claire. Her voice is cheerful, completely at odds with the storm swirling inside me. Hey, I'm just finishing up at the grocery store. Do we need anything? She asks. Yeah, I manage to say, trying to keep my voice steady. I need you to come home. Right now. Her tone shifts immediately, concern creeping in. Is everything okay? Just come home. She's here within 20 minutes, her usual warm smile fading as she enters and sees me standing in the kitchen, a dark expression on my face. I don't say anything, just hand her the letter with trembling hands. Claire's eyes widen as she takes in the contents of the envelope. What is this? She whispers, her face paling. Care to explain? I ask, my voice icy. I'm fighting to keep my composure, but it's a losing battle. She stammers, glancing at the photo and then at me, her face flushed with panic. I don't know what to say. This isn't what it looks like. I laugh, a harsh, bitter sound. Really? Because it looks pretty clear to me. I swear, it's not. Claire's words are incoherent now. She's backing away, her hands trembling. Don't lie to me, I say, the words coming out in a strangled shout. Don't even try. I've seen enough. She sinks into a chair, her face buried in her hands. I'm so sorry. I don't know how this happened. My heart is pounding, and my mind is racing with 1,000 thoughts. Betrayal, anger, and a deep sense of violation. My son. My wife. How could they both do this to me? I don't want to hear any more of your excuses, I say coldly. I need time to think. I understand, Claire says weakly. I'll give you space. But please, just talk to me when you're ready. As she leaves, the house feels emptier, colder. I walk around in a daze, the images from the photo burned into my mind. The shock is giving way to a darker, more primal rage. Claire's betrayal is not just personal, it feels like a violation of everything I thought we had. The phone rings again, but this time, I let it go to voicemail. I sit down at the kitchen table, my mind a whirlwind of possibilities. I could feel sorry for myself, try to understand what led to this, but there's something else brewing inside me, a need for retribution. Claire thinks she can just walk away from this, but she's wrong. I don't know yet what form my revenge will take, but I'm certain of one thing, she will not get off easy. The life we built together is shattered, and I won't rest until I make her understand the full extent of her betrayal. As the sun sets and shadows lengthen, I finally feel the first stirrings of a plan. Claire's life might be in tatters, but I will be the one to decide how it all plays out. The pieces are in place, and the game has only just begun. The following morning, I wake with a tightness in my chest that makes every breath feel laboured. Claire's absence is a stark reminder of the turmoil, and I find myself pacing the living room, unable to focus on anything other than the betrayal that's turned my world upside down. The phone buzzes with a text from my best friend, Dave. We've known each other since college, and he's always been the guy I turn to in times of crisis. His message reads, "Need to talk?" I'm free. I don't hesitate. I text back with a single word, yes. Minutes later, Dave arrives, his face etched with concern as he steps through the front door. "Man, you look like hell," he says, scanning the room. "What's going on?" "I've got something to show you," I reply, grabbing the envelope from the counter. "But you're not going to believe it." I hand him the letter and watch as his eyes widen, his expression shifting from confusion to shock as he flips through the photo. "Jesus, John. Is this for real?" "Yeah, it is," I say, my voice barely above a whisper. "Claire's been cheating on me. And that's Ben. My son. My son." Face, trying to process the gravity of what I've just told him. "I'm so sorry. I don't even know what to say." "I don't want sympathy," I snap. "I want advice." "What should I do?" Dave takes a deep breath, considering his words carefully. "First things first, you need to get your head clear. If this was me, I'd want to know exactly what's going on before making any decisions." "Agreed," I say, pacing again. "But I need more than just answers. I need a plan." Dave nods, understanding the intensity of my situation. "All right. Why don't we start by finding out what Ben has to say? If he's involved, he's got to know something. Maybe even Claire's secrets." Before we can say more, the front door opens again. It's Ben, stepping in with his usual casual demeanor. He looks at us with confusion. "Hey, Dad. Everything okay?" I feel my anger flare, but I force myself to stay calm. "Ben, we need to talk. It's important." He looks at Dave, then back at me, sensing the tension. "Sure, what's up?" "Come into the living room," I say, leading the way. Dave follows close behind, his eyes fixed on Ben with a look of concern. Once we're all seated, I place the photo on the table in front of Ben. His face goes pale as he recognizes the image. "What is this?" he asks, his voice trembling. "I think you know exactly what it is," I reply, trying to keep my voice steady. "I want you to explain why you're in this photo with Claire." Ben stares at the photo, his expression a mix of shock and guilt. "Dad, I didn't know it would come to this. I thought." "Thought what?" I cut him off, my frustration bubbling over. "That it was just a fling? That it wouldn't hurt anyone? Do you have any idea what you've done?" "I'm sorry," Ben says, his eyes filling with tears. "I didn't mean for any of this to happen. Claire, she said she loved me. I was confused." Dave steps in, his tone firm but empathetic. "Ben, you need to understand the gravity of what you've done. This isn't just about feelings. You've destroyed a family." Ben's face crumples, and he starts to cry. "I know. I'm so sorry. I'll talk to Claire. I'll fix this." I shake my head. "You can't fix this. What's done is done." The doorbell rings, interrupting the tense conversation. Looking anxious as she steps inside. She immediately senses the charged atmosphere. "John, please," she starts, but I cut her off. "Claire, Ben, and I were just talking about this. We're all aware of what's happened." Her face turns red as she tries to hold back her tears. "I was wrong. I was confused, and I made terrible mistakes. But can't we work through this together?" I look at her, my resolve hardening. I don't know if there's anything left to salvage. I need time to think, and right now, I'm more focused on figuring out what comes next. Claire's eyes meet mine, full of desperation. "Please, John. I'll do anything to make it right." I glance at Ben, who's still sitting silently, and then back at Claire. Right now, I don't know what right even means. I just need to be alone to figure this out. As Claire leaves, the weight of the situation settles heavily on my shoulders. Dave stays behind, offering a supportive presence as I sit down, feeling the full impact of the betrayal. I don't have all the answers yet, but one thing is clear: this is far from over. The path forward is uncertain, and the fight to reclaim my life has just begun. The door slams shut behind Claire, leaving me alone with Dave, Ben, and the shattered remains of the life I thought I understood. The silence in the house is deafening after Claire leaves. I'm sitting at the kitchen table, feeling the weight of the last 24 hours crashing down on me. Ben is still here, looking more lost than ever, while Dave is pacing, trying to figure out how to help. "So, what now?" Ben asks quietly, his voice barely audible. "What happens to us?" I meet his gaze, feeling a mix of anger and pity. "I don't know yet. What I do know is that Claire's actions have destroyed a lot more than just our family. I need answers, Ben. And right now, that means figuring out why you were involved in this." Ben runs a hand through his hair, clearly distressed. "I never meant for any of this to happen. I thought Claire and I had something real. I know it was wrong, but she made me believe that." "That what?" I interrupt, my frustration boiling over. "That you were somehow special? That this wouldn't hurt anyone? Look at what you've done, Ben." Dave steps in, trying to defuse the situation. "John, we need to stay calm." Ben's clearly struggling with this, and yelling at him won't help. "We need to find out what Claire was really up to." Ben nods, tears streaming down his face. "Claire told me she was unhappy in her marriage. She said she felt trapped and that we had something genuine, that she couldn't talk to you about it. I didn't want to believe her, but you did," I say, my voice harsh. "You chose to believe her lies, and now look where we are." Dave's phone buzzes, and he checks it quickly. "I've got a call from my colleague, Sarah. She's a private investigator. I think it's time we brought in some professional help." I look at Dave, considering his suggestion. If anyone can dig up more information, it's Sarah. I need to know everything. I need to understand why this happened and how deep it goes. "All right," Dave says, dialing Sarah's number. "Let's get her on the line and see what she can find." While Dave speaks with Sarah, I turn back to Ben. "I need you to be honest with me from now on. If there's anything else you haven't told me, now is the time." Ben swallows hard, nodding. "I promise, Dad. I'll tell you everything." As Dave hangs up, he informs us that Sarah will be here in a couple of hours. The waiting is excruciating, each minute dragging by as I try to keep my emotions in check. When Sarah arrives, she's a sharp, no-nonsense woman in her late 30s, with an air of confidence that immediately puts me at ease. She's carrying a notepad and a tablet, ready to dive into the case. "John, Dave," she greets us, her gaze quickly assessing the room. "I hear we have a complicated situation." "That's an understatement," Dave says, leading Sarah to the table. "We need to know everything Claire and Ben were involved in. The more information we can get, the better." Sarah nods, taking a seat. "All right, I'll start by gathering any relevant details. I need to know about Claire's recent activities, any unusual behavior, and anything that might give us a clue." I recount Claire's recent behavior, including her unexplained absences and any oddities I noticed. Ben provides additional information about their interactions, describing moments when Claire seemed distant or secretive. Sarah listens attentively, taking notes as she goes. I'll start with a background check on Claire, review her phone and email records, and check for any patterns in her behavior. I'll also dig into Ben's interactions with her to see if there are any connections we haven't uncovered. "Thank you, Sarah," I say, feeling a glimmer of hope. We need to get to the bottom of this. As Sarah begins her investigation, I feel a mix of relief and anxiety. I'm trying to focus on the task at hand, but my thoughts keep drifting back to Claire and the devastation she's caused. The next few hours are a blur of activity as Sarah and Dave work on the case, leaving Ben and me to navigate the emotional wreckage. The doorbell rings again, this time bringing a package. It's from Claire's lawyer, containing legal documents. I open it with shaking hands, revealing divorce papers and a notice of her intent to contest any claims I might make. This is just the beginning, I say, the gravity of the situation sinking in. Claire's not going to make this easy. Dave and Sarah exchange glances, their expression serious. We'll get through this, Dave says, placing a reassuring hand on my shoulder. But we need to stay focused. The more we know, the better prepared we'll be. Sarah nods in agreement. I'll have my findings for you as soon as possible. In the meantime, try to stay calm. We're going to uncover the truth. As the evening settles in, the house feels colder and more empty than ever. The investigation is underway, but the emotional toll is heavy. I can't help but wonder what else Claire has hidden and how deep this betrayal truly goes. The path ahead is fraught with uncertainty, but one thing is clear, I'm not going to let Claire's deception go unanswered. I'm determined to see this through, no matter what it takes. The following days are a whirlwind of activity. Sarah works tirelessly, digging into Claire's past and present. Dave remains my rock, providing emotional support and practical advice. Ben, despite his guilt and fear, is trying to stay out of the way as much as possible. One evening, Sarah calls with an urgent update. John, I've got something. You need to come over to my office right away. The urgency in her voice sends a shiver down my spine. I meet her at her office, and she ushers me into a small, private room. Her expression is grim, and she hands me a folder filled with documents and photographs. Here's what I found, she begins, her tone serious. Wasn't just having an affair with Ben. I uncovered evidence that she's been living a double life for years. I open the folder, my heart pounding. Inside are bank statements, travel records, and photographs of Claire with various men. But it's the text messages and emails that hit hardest. Claire's ongoing correspondence with multiple partners, a pattern of deceit that extends far beyond her involvement with Ben. Claire had been seeing other men for a long time, Sarah explains. She's been financially supporting some of them and keeping secrets from you. It's not just about Ben, it's about her entire facade falling apart. The shock is overwhelming. I'm struggling to keep my emotions in check as I absorb the reality of Claire's deception. How could she do this? I ask, more to myself than to Sarah. How could she live such a lie? Sarah shakes her head sympathetically. People are capable of more than we often realize. The real tragedy is how it all spiraled out of control. Claire's betrayal was deeper than anyone could have imagined. Thanks for your help, I say, taking a deep breath. I need to confront Claire with this. Sarah nods. Do what you need to do. I'll be here if you need any more assistance. I drive home, the weight of the new revelations heavy on my shoulders. I find Claire in the living room, looking pensive. She stands as I enter, her expression a mix of defiance and worry. I know why you're here, she says before I can speak. You found out everything. I don't say anything, just set the folder on the coffee table. Claire's face goes pale as she sees the documents and photographs. I didn't want it to come to this, Claire says, tears welling up in her eyes. I was trying to protect myself. I thought I could manage everything and keep you from finding out. You thought you could manage? I say, my voice trembling with anger. Claire, this isn't just about managing. It's about betrayal, deceit, and the destruction of everything we had. Claire takes a step forward, her voice desperate. John, I'm so sorry. I made mistakes, terrible mistakes. But please, let's try to work through this. We can fix it. Fix it? I say, incredulous. How can we fix something so broken? You've lied to me, deceived me, and used me. This isn't something we can just sweep under the rug. The conversation escalates quickly. Claire's attempts to justify her actions only fuel my anger. I did what I thought was right, she says. I was trying to find happiness. Find happiness? I shout. You destroyed our family. You used your lies to build a false life. In the heat of the argument, Claire's lawyer arrives unannounced, holding a stack of legal documents. He looks between us, his expression cautious. John, Claire wants to settle everything legally, he says. She's prepared to offer a financial settlement and to sign a non-disclosure agreement to keep the details private. I look at Claire, her face a mask of guilt and fear. So this is how you want to end it? With a legal agreement to silence the truth? Claire's eyes fill with tears. I thought it would be the best way to move forward. I shake my head, feeling a final wave of disillusionment. I don't want your money or your promises. I want the truth out there. I want everyone to know what you've done. Claire's face hardens with resolve. Fine. If that's what you want. I'll sign the papers, and we'll go our separate ways. As the lawyer drafts the agreement, Claire and I exchange a final, bitter look. There's no reconciliation possible here, no future together. The damage is too deep, and the betrayal too profound. Claire signs the papers with a trembling hand, and I do the same. We exchange a cold farewell, the finality of our parting settling heavily between us. As Claire leaves, I feel a strange sense of liberation mixed with the sadness of a relationship that has ended in such bitterness. The next few weeks are a blur of legal battles and emotional fallout. Claire's departure from my life marks the end of a painful chapter and the beginning of a new, uncertain future. I try to rebuild, focusing on my own healing and the relationships that matter most. Ben remains a painful reminder of the betrayal, and though I try to reach out to him, the rift between us is too wide. Our relationship is strained, and it's clear that healing will take time, if it happens at all. In the end, the truth comes to light, and the deceit that once lurked in the shadows is exposed for everyone to see. Claire and I go our separate ways, forever changed by the betrayal that fractured our lives. The finality of our parting is a testament to the irreversible damage of deceit, a stark reminder of the costs of betrayal and the complexity of human relationships. As I close this chapter, I'm left with the fragments of my past and the uncertain promise of a new beginning. The journey ahead is daunting, but I'm determined to find a path forward, free from the shadows of deceit that once loomed so large.